which is up here. Ag and I have been friends for a long time, and so I'm going to give him a little bit of a bad time because I've been saying for a while, Ag, you need to get a license.
Yes.
So we're gonna do that with him. And I have to get online here. The FCC has the world's worst website. If you were a commercial user, you would not put up with all of the grief that you go through in the website, but and in the handout, there is this URL for wireless.fcc.gov. One of the things you need is a federal registration number,
yeah,
which he does have one. So if you look in the handout,
that's what I came out to get, is my FRN.
So my understanding is that in the packet, in your handout, there's a form that the intention of that form is to help you go along with the process here. But you can take notes on that form, but to actually register, you have to do it online.
Right, we should talk about
the form has to be filled out online, even if it's badly online. When people send an email to me to get help to put a wireless mic together, I send them a standard form email, which is the very end, and explains how to get an FRN number, and then you can hire me, but I'm going to show you how to do it today for free, and then and so that's what we're going to do. So
that's the first step, is getting that FRN.
You have to get an FRN. So he already has one, so we're just going to go to log in.
But for somebody who doesn't have an FRN, how do they do that? So, I mean, essentially, just...
you go to...
I mean, I don't know. I have my FRN from, from my ham radio.
Cores, which is there's a URL on the last couple pages, and check on the register button and you follow the directions.
So it's in the handout?
So it's in the handout, yeah. Okay. It's on Basic Wireless Microphone Application Instructions, page 1. It says how to get an FRN. So we're going to put in...
And what is an FRN?
All the information is online and it's public information. The federal government is not allowed to use your Social Security number on any public document. So by using an FRN, which is secret, you enter your name and identify yourself, and you get an FRN number. That now isolates your social from the FRN. Okay. And it's, again, I'm not going to defend it. It's a lot of silly rules out there, but that's what we have to do. So
I just want to throw this out there too. Of those who raise their hand who are licensed, how many did it themselves online?
You mean without bill?
Yes, without paying someone for the service. Has someone done it themselves? No one here. I'm sure that someone in the world has, but no one here has. So I want to point out that you can do it yourself. A lot of people would prefer to pay a professional like Bill and some others for the service. So we'll explain how that is an option before we're through here.
So you've got your FRN number, and I just entered Ag's FRN number, and Ag happens to have an amateur call, so he already is in the database. So we go over to the corner here. It says apply for a new license. And then we select the radio service for the new license. And
the FRN number, I mean, you do that instantly, you get that right away, and you can proceed with this?
Once you get the FRN, you're in, and you just have to re-enter it on the ULS. So we want to look for LP, Broadcast Auxiliary Low Power. So we select the service of LP. Oh, there's a FCC Form 601. You can use that to take notes, but the online form doesn't look like the paper form. We're from the government. We're here to help you. And we click on Continue, and it'll ask whether you have a parent station. And since you don't have a FM or AM or TV parent station, we say no. No. And then you go through the usual silly things here. The FCC web. Oh, that's an interesting one. That's not a normal problem. This is loading. So definitely that wasn't. The FCC website, again, has got problems, but we have to go through all of this stuff, so we'll sit here and twiddle our thumbs. I want to program my computer to do the Jeopardy theme while it's waiting. Do you want to run this applet? Yes, I know it's screwed up, but I want you to run it anyway. So you say continue, and do. The online form is similar. It has all the same things, but in a slightly different sequence. So I'm just going to go through this now, and I know what to do. Automatically, it says new. It knew that because I applied for a new license. In this box, you want to click N for not applicable. And then application includes a request for waiver of the rules? No. Frequency covered by grandfather privilege? No. Attachment being filed? Yes. Okay, regulatory status is private internal communications, not broadcast services. That's part 73. If you do that, it blows up.
You guys don't know if it's sort of following.
I'm sorry?
Well, we're looking at a different.
You're looking, but actually all those boxes are here. They're just in different places.
Right.
The questions I'm answering really now are on page 3. Yeah, a main form, page 3. And we're going to click on mobile, because that's at the top of page 3. Interconnected to the public telephone network? No. Just easier to say no. And then fee status is you're not exempt and you're not exempt. So there we go. That is some of page 1 and some of page 3 on the paper form. But now let's go to the next page of the online form.
Yeah. What about the 216 megahertz Comtext stuff? We can't use it for
You
direct
may
to
not
script?
use it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we may not use it under the law.
Yeah, because the frequencies above 216 is 217 or 218 is the frequency. That is, by law, limited to hearing assistance to handicapped individuals, as defined by title something in the law. So production audio does not qualify as handicapped. And so Comtech sells them. They don't care, but you can use the same equipment at 216 or 215 or 214 as a broadcast auxiliary. You may not use it as an auditory assistance band.
Thank you.
Okay, page 2 of the form, this more or less follows that. We go over here and we click on legal entity type. You're an individual, but you can see there's other options: corporation, government entity, if you're a county or city or something. And don't do other, because that requires you have to explain why. Okay, so Agamemnon, Agamemnon. What's your middle initial?
None.
None? Andrianos. There's too many letters in this name.
There is.
Okay. Attention to. And your mailing address.
Let's do 570.
You didn't want to use your P.O.
Oh,
box?
yeah, I'll use the P.O. box.
P.O. box.
6664.
Okay.
Oh, to the left is for the P.O. box.
Okay. 6664. I did my license to a P.O. box. That's perfectly acceptable. And the city is?
San Rafael. 94903.
903. And 415.
499.
4998292.
Right.
Notice how it puts those dashes in automatically? Do you want to?
Email?
Email is?
agaman@juno.com.
juno.com.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the paper form has a box you can check saying same as above. The online form doesn't do that. So I got to move everything to the contact information. And sometimes for corporations, the licensee can be different, but for most individuals, it's the same. And attention to copy. P.O. Box 6664. Deep there. Let's type it in. SANRAFAE.
Question, Bill, if we're a registered company or incorporated, would we put that in the company slot?
Yeah. And actually, when you check on corporation, you end up with entity name rather than first name. That changes, and when you change to a corporation. So you want to fill it out logically. And we'll put that in here, copy there, and we'll put that in here. This really doesn't take long when I do it by myself, and I'm going to talk a lot here. Demographics, I think it's optional. I don't think it makes any difference to me, so I never fill that in. Next page.
Is it gender?
And so these are questions that show up a little bit on page 3, whenever we get to that page. Okay, so the question at the top is, a foreign government, a representative of any foreign government, it had better be no, because explain that is hard. As the applicant of this party's application or amendment of agency authorization, blah, 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 construction permit denied by the commission, it's best to say no. If it's a yes, then you need a communications lawyer. Application directing and controlling applicant convicted of a felony in any state or federal court. If it's no, it's easy. If it's a yes, you have to file a statement. You need a communications lawyer for that. Does any court finally judge the applicant and party controlling applicant of monopolizing, attempting to monopolize radio communications, blah, 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 blah? It's best to say no. I mean, if any of these are yeses, it gets messy. But so on this page, say no. That's the correct answer.
So
This is the final page, and it's the general certifying statements. And so we're going to type in Agamemnon, no Andrianos, and your title, I'm going to say, is owner.
Okay.
I mean, you make a grand poobah, whatever you want. Now, the thing that I'm going to point out here is at the bottom of the page, it says, willful false statements made on this form or any attachments are punishable by fine and or imprisonment. U.S. Code Title 18, Section 1001, that's perjury. And or revocation of any station license or construction permit, and or forfeiture, which means you make a donation. So it's kind of important you don't lie on the form. All right, and so that's that page.
So my question to Bill yesterday was, we're applying for this license. How does the government know that we're actually going to use it for television and film production? And I guess the answer is they'll put you in jail if you lie and fine you. So it is, I guess, on the honor system.
There is case law where people have falsified a document, have made a donation to the federal government.
And real quick, James, can you get your question in?
Yeah, once you get this license, is it transferable? For instance, if you get it here in LA and you go do a job in Wisconsin.
I will show you when I get to that page. I'm basically licensed nationwide. Okay, you're required to have a control point, and that is a location where if there is interference, the FCC can contact you and say, hey, turn off your transmitter. So that is P.O. Box
6664.
6664?
Correct.
In San California. You have to put the county down.
That's Marin.
That's Marin.
Yep.
Oops, but I have to spell it right. If you don't do it right, it will argue with you. And 415-499-8292. Okay, save. So we've added a control point. You can have multiple control points, but you have to have one, a minimum of one.
Just use your address as the control point.
You use your mailing address. I mean, obviously, if you're doing production, you're on the move, but we have to fill out the form. Now we're into the eligibility section, and this is, you're going to have to write down what I do here. I have to find my cheat sheet. Oops, yes, I did. Okay, the rules section is 74.832A, and then you have to describe the activity, and I say applicant is a TPP, or would you rather be an MPP?
MPP.
As defined in 74.801. Okay? So that's the rules section is 74.832A, and the activity is a TPP. Okay, and then in broadcast auxiliary only. Back up.
If you want us to learn how to do this, you got to go a little slower.
Okay. 74.832A in the rules section, and the activity is applicant is a TPP as defined in 74.801.
Television primary producer, TPP stands for?
Television program producer. I mean, if you're on the boob tube, it's a T. If your silver screen, it's an M. They have equal status, so it doesn't make any difference which one. It's sort of like if I do all of my work on television, it's easy. If I do 50-50, flip a coin. If you do 60-40, do the one that's more. They're equally there.
Is that section number the same for either one, or is it different?
Yes, the 74.801 is the definition. That's in your handout. That's where they define both of those. Okay, at the bottom of the page,
Okay, so why do we need to skip the part
because you don't
saying-
have to do that.
Okay, we can leave that out, frequency coordinator information.
We don't have to coordinate it.
Okay.
You should if you're running around, but it's not required in this service. Okay, if there's no associated parent station, you decide whether you're cable, broadcast network, which you're not, television cable operator, which you're not, motion picture producer or television producer. We said T at the top. We'll say television down here. State of primary operation. I generally use your home state. That would be California. That can bring in issues with T-band licenses. You want to save the changes? Yes. Now we have the next page. This is Schedule D. So if you look through the forms, after Schedule, in front of Schedule H is Schedule D. Or actually, it's somewhere in here, there should be a Schedule D. Main form. After main form is Schedule D. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a location, and location description is a mobile, an area of operation code. All right, let's look at that window. There's all kinds of things you can have, but in our case, you can have, if you're a mobiles with a two-way radio, you use an A or an R or P, but we're going to go for nationwide, including Hawaii, Alaska, and U.S. territories. Okay, that basically, anything that flies the stars and stripes, you're covered in. All right, and then we don't have to fill out any of the rest of that because we don't need to do that. Oh, yes, we do. At the very bottom of the page, it says, is this ground observation an action which may have a significant environmental effect? I advise saying no. Proposed an area that requires frequency coordination with Canada. I recommend that you say no. If you're going to be up in Maine, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So there we go. So now I'll go back up to here and find the save button. Generally, it's pretty good about saving things if it glitches in the middle of an application, but not always. So I want to save. And now, H, control point, page 1, page 2.
So just to give people an idea of the length of the process, how far along are we at this point?
We have a couple more things to do. We got to enter the frequencies and do the attachment. So now we've got the location. It came up. That's good. And we'll go to the next page. On this page, this is the antenna. You have to have location 1, and it's going to think for a while. And it should come up with a, right here, once it thinks for a while, a number 1 will appear. And then we just say add. We have to have a location 1, which is the Schedule D we just did. It has to have an antenna, because otherwise the next page will not know what to do. So now we go to the next page, which is frequency. You can see how well Java works here, but we'll go to the next page. And if you look at on Schedule H, there's a mistake that I made that I realized that I was wrong, so don't quite copy, but we're now going to add frequencies. So we go to select location 1. It has to think for antenna 1, and that appears. When that appears, antenna 1, we add frequency, and when it remembers how to add a frequency, the boxes below that will clear up. And what I recommend you doing is license all of the eligible frequencies, even if you don't have a transmitter on it, so that if you get blindsided and need to add something, you've got it. So we're waiting for it to add a frequency. That's where on FCC 601 Schedule H, page 3 has got the information. We're going to add We're going to add 54 to 72. Station class mobile. These are for IFB, so I'm going to do on 5 units. Output power is 0.050. Oops. 0.050. 50 milliwatts, 0.050. My form said 250, but that's wrong. So I enter all of that and save the frequency. Once it's saved the frequency, no, you can have 100 milliwatts in the UHF band. This is low band, and the rules say low band can only have 50 milliwatts. Okay, now I select that frequency, and it will think for a moment.
I don't own radio mics, but I use them every single day as a boom operator. How do I get licensed if I don't have a specific frequency that I own? Do I just borrow Steve, let me use your, what are you using?
Let me answer that question 2 ways. A, the person that turns on the transmitter has to hold the license. So if you rent equipment or use AG's equipment, you're the one turning it on. If you're working for AG, then you can fall under his license. But it's to turn on. I license a band of frequencies. I'm basically going to license you, or AG right now, every frequency you could have. So no matter what you're thrown with on a day-to-day basis, you're covered.
So I can get a license without having a specific frequency because I don't own it. So I skip that. Do I skip that?
Yeah, no, we're licensing the band.
Oh, okay.
The entire band.
Get it.
Okay.
I get it. Thank you.
Back to the form. I select the frequency, add emission lit up, and now I'm in this box called emission designator. I'm going to go 200K F3E, and that's a specific code for 200 kilohertz bandwidth, frequency modulated voice. We save the emission. Okay. We got to put in more frequencies, but I'm going to skip to another completely obscure part of the rules, is that if you're not a TV station, you have to include a statement of eligibility. If you don't do that, the license gets bounced. So we need to make a statement of eligibility. So I move over to here, and I want this one. And so it's a very stupid statement, but it's, oops. I just basically copied what they said in the rules and give this as a statement of eligibility. I did get my application returned for, say, nationwide. I have to say you work throughout the United States of America. And they just, this is another one of those, okay, I will do it that way. So now, since I do this myself, I'm going to do this here so I can find it again. Here, Rockwork, 2012. I'm showing you all my secrets here. All right, so these are all the people that I've done an application with. Okay, and this is A-N-D-R-I-N-O-S. So there's our statement of eligibility for AG. And I now make that into a PDIF. And now we go back to the FCC thing. We got to add more frequencies, but I'm going to, now I look over here and there's a button called attachment. And that'll bring up another window. And type is other. File is what I just did. Work. So you have to include a statement of eligibility. So we attach that, open, and in description is a statement of eligibility. Okay, and say add the attachment. And it's been uploaded. Okay, so now if I had put in all the emission designators, I could hit submit and send it in. We haven't done it yet, but I can check. One way to double check what you're doing is the button called print preview. You want to save changes. And that will bring up a PDF of what you've applied for. So you can check your spelling and make sure I didn't put any extra letters into Agamemnon. So this is an application, and this is what is right now in that applet. So we can take a look at it. And the reference copy will look like the paper application, unlike the applet application. So we have an LP, it's a new license. It's non-applicable. Yes, attachments. Applicant exempt from, no. Frequencies required by grandfather, no. And then we go down, okay, here's the registration number. He's an individual, Agamemnon, that's his P.O. box number. And there's his other information, contact info. So, okay, Agamemnon, I got all the letters right, Andrea on those. I do make mistakes. I got to collect private internal communications and mobile. I once clicked on radio location and the FCC said, oh, you got to change that, and I did. So I make mistakes. Service, no. Government, no. Authorization, no. Felony, no. Other one, no. Okay. Agamemnon owner. And then down here is location 1, mobile, nationwide. I don't have to do anything else. And then rule section 74.832A, applicant is a TPP as defined. Okay, that's good. You don't have to tell Howard. Control points, P.O. Box in San Rafael. He's a T television producer, state is California. The antenna information is blank because you don't need that for mobile, but you have to put it in anyway. We added location 1, antenna 1, new 54 to 72 mobile, 5 watts, 50 milliwatts, 50 milliwatts. The mission designator didn't get put in. That must have been when it glitched. So I got to go back and fix that. And then the last page says I've added an attachment called Statement of Eligibility dated 12/28/2012. So let's quickly, we did that. So now, see, I've got there, I didn't save emission. Okay. That's why they didn't do it. They didn't save the emission. And it'll think for a while, and it'll show up over in the box under emission. There we go. Okay, so now that emission is saved. So we just need to do this now for the other frequencies, and then I can submit the application to the FCC. When you do that, you will get a file number, and keep track of that because that'll allow you to check on the ULS to see how they're not processing it. And that file number also will show up when you go to pay for it.
And about how long before that actually the license arrives?
The FCC is now taking 4 months to process a routine application. And that includes public safety. I mean, everybody is doing that. Their excuse is that, well, Congress won't let us hire more people. So it's our federal government. But at the very end of the handout, under my basic application instructions, it says you'll get an application file number, and then on page 2, item 7, it says you'll need to go online and pay the FCC. You have 10 days to do this. If you wait more than 10 days, they just delete the license, and you got to start all over again. So you got to do it within 10 days. A pending application can wait for 30 days before they delete it, but once you've submitted it, you have to pay for it in 10 days. So once you've done that, you go to login page, and in quick links, and click on pay fees. You put in your FRN and password. Your application number should show up as pending. Give them a credit card number and submit it, and they will take your money. And then about 4 months later, you'll get the license in the mail.
Now, Bill, if someone hires you to do that for them, do they still have to get online and pay with their own credit card? You don't?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't want your credit card number in any shape or fashion. So there is, I'm told, a gentleman on the East Coast that will pay the fee himself, but he charges $500 for that service.
Should go have lunch now. Okay. Thanks for coming. And just 2 doors up, the sidewalk, and we have barbecue. Thanks. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
That was enormous.